Hello and welcome to Geekatplay Studio. In this tutorial, we are going to look at how to create an island with all 4 seasons. It could be easy to create this with layers if it went up and down slope, but what if we wanted it in sections around the island? And this came up in the forum when people asked if having 4 different weather zones or climates could be done. So I came up with this island and I want to show you how you can create this. And we'll begin by creating our terrain as usual. And let's open this terrain to edit. And one thing that we want for this tutorial is we want to have it more in the middle here. So let's go into our options, and I've already preset my filter here, but we might want to modify it a little. So it looks kind of like this. And you remember we spoke about random noise? I think it was something like 4,500. No, I think it was 49000. There we go. So let's create this one. And let's maybe clip it up a little bit. So now here's our island that we created. The next thing we need to do is pretty cool. We're going to take this island and we'll Control C, and then we'll paste it in here. 2, 3, 4 times, even a 5th island. So now we have 5 instances of our island. And then we'll just go name them T1, T2. It's not Terminator, just the terrain. T3, terrain 4. And this one, let's name it T-top. Okay? And they're all stuck in this one place here. So if we go back, we can look at this position. And let's go in right now and we'll be creating our cutting layers. So we'll go one here, like that, and above. Control C, Control V to copy that, and then let's rotate it. And then we'll move it in here just right like this. We also can shorten it up here so the corners match up. Next, we'll select both of them, Control G to group both of them together, and then let's Control C, copy them, and we'll paste them in 4 times. And we'll name them G1, G2, G3, and G4. Now with Vue, when you're creating a scene, you can't really assign an ecosystem or material to just a piece of the terrain. It goes all over the terrain and is assigned by layers, not borders we might draw. So we creating borders that it can't ignore with a Boolean operation. We're separating them into 4 different pieces. Actually, 4 different terrains that will fit together like a puzzle. So we'll just go to our second terrain and switch the orientation. And we'll rotate the yaw by 90 degrees and the third terrain by 180 degrees. And our 4th terrain by 270 degrees. So now we've covered all of those angles. Now we'll select our first terrain, then select our first group, and we'll go to the Boolean operation, subtracting all but this corner here. Then we'll do the same thing with our second, third, and fourth groups. Let's create one more layer, our top there. So now it's hiding away from us. And one thing that we see right now is that we have just this one piece. So we need to go back and rotate the slices again, only we'll do it backwards. The second group is minus 90. And this one, you don't need minus 180, but we'll just do that for the fun of it. And then minus 270. So 180 and minus 180 is about the same, as you would know. So we've set them all now. And if we preview, it's actually a little hard to see. So let's go right here and give it some color now. I think we'll switch it to something reddish. And this is our terrain that we can see now in the preview. If we go in a little closer, we see that it's miscut in here. Like right here in the middle, we don't have anything here. And this is one of the reasons that we have our top layer. And we'll be able to patch it on here later. So we don't need to worry about that, but we'll just a little bit bring these pieces in together and overlay them. So there's no more gaps there. So we've moved it to just lose those gaps. But if you're really worried about that middle, we will cover in the future. But like I said, we could go back in here and work around there now to just move them all the way together. Let's see which one to work with. That one. So we're just removing this gap here. Now, you can spend more time here to smooth this out. This line isn't there. But so we don't take too much time in this tutorial. We'll just leave that. But you'll also find that you really won't even notice that once we start adding things into here. So now let's take our top layer and make it visible, and we'll see how it overlays in here. And then we'll go here, go to edit the object, and we'll just clip it maybe all the way up to here. And if you want, you can raise it up a little bit, move it over here a little bit. Let's just adjust this to get it just right in here, because remember, we moved those things together. So, it'll take a little time to get this right, but we put this in here to patch that top, to smooth out those lines like I said before, and because I'll want to work with this additional layer later on. So now you see what we actually did was to split our island into 4 different parts. And we'll take a quick look at it right now. Because we've used the same preset, it looks like the one same island. But now we can go in here and apply the different materials to each of these different sections. So now we'll go in here and work with our first section. And this is where your imagination can go wild, really. So now we'll come in here and we'll take Arizona for that one. And we don't want to populate it yet at this point, and I'll show you why in a second. And let's go into our second section, edit the material. And which one do we want now? I think the forest and rocks are going to work for us. And we don't want to populate it. Let's go to our next section. And let's go and select Hot Mountain. here. And in this last one, let's select something again that is kind of greenish. Rock walls and grass will do nicely for us here. The reason we didn't use auto-populate is because, and let's move in closer to look at this. And we'll go inside the material. And when we go into the ecosystem and we populate it, it won't make very many of these for several reasons. One, because we used this Boolean operation, we still have this cube here, and the software considers this a foreign object. If you disable decay near foreign object and you populate it after this action, even if you remove the 3/4 through the Boolean operation, Vue still sees the whole object, so it populates it everywhere. So what good does this do to us if we can't use it this way? Well, the solution is some elbow grease. We'll have to add these in manually with paint. So let's go in right here and we'll click on our paint, take a brush, and we'll start adding rocks now. The one nice thing, you can now blend these different parts of the island together a little more so you'll get a better overall effect. So this paint offers you some more flexibility this way. And also you can say, you know what? I want to add to this one maybe one of these trees. I think maybe the sonorita right here, and you might find that sometimes the size is going to be too big. So let's take a look here. If the plants are too big, mostly what we'll want to do is decrease the scale of the plants, or we could increase the size of the terrain. And if we make our terrain bigger, we'll probably want to increase the resolution as well. Make it 512 by 512 or 1024 by 1024. And this depends on what you want to do. Okay, and here we see our preview now. You can already easily distinguish these 4 different climates easily. Actually, this is a little bit high. We may want to drop it down. You can see it's floating there a little bit. Let's go actually into this one and maybe drop it just a bit more. Okay. And now we're going to go in here and continue to populate our first section here. So I'll go into Painter, and we're using this tree now. Select our brush, selected only the selected items, and we'll maybe decrease the scale a little bit so it fits in here more. Also, if you remember, here we have that harder edge. If you want to spend more time on this edge, you can make another slice and blend the colors in between them if you want to make it a little bit more perfect. Let's see now. So we've put some trees here, and it's overlapping a little bit, you see. And let's go to our next train. In the same way, we'll just go right here and let's move it so it can paint in this window. Click on our paint and we'll just use a little bit of everything that we have here in this ecosystem. So let's reduce the scale a little bit for us now. And here's our edge again. And we kind of want to blend them in a little. Now let's go to our next section. And of course, you can add your own ecosystem. So like right here, I want more than just these rocks. So I'll go in here and bring in a plant. You know, let's add something maybe that's yellowish, like that maple tree. So let's click again in paint. And one nice thing also to paint in this way. Oh, you know what? This is too big. So let's go in here and make this even smaller. And you see, we're mixing it in here a little bit, overlapping. The nice thing about this painting is the control you have. Being able to place these a little more where you want them, while still getting this random effect. And I think that looks about right. And our last one right here. And this was our Arizona section, if I'm right. And we'll go to add our ecosystem to this. And we'll bring in a plant. And let's use maybe some dead tree right here. So we're going into the painter. And let's also add some rocks. What's a desert without rocks? And also let's bring in some dry bushes, dry weeds kind of a thing. And we'll paint it in here using a little bit of everything. And now we're just scattering them all around in here. Okay, so now we've kind of populated this, and you can see that, but on the top we still have that we left in there. So let's go here and replace that now with the cold mountain. And we want to populate that one. Let's have more than just this fir tree, and let's add maybe the bulky conifer. We probably want to decrease this one a little bit in size to make it fit into the terrain for both of these trees. And we need, there it is. So let's go decrease the size of those. Let's go to density, and it's fine here. Let's populate it and see what we have so far. Oh, that does look very interesting. And we'll take our camera and move it a little bit away. And now let's see what we have. Here we have our one view of our island, and you can see the 1, 2, 3 parts of it. One thing, if you want to look all the way around, it is to animate our camera. Let's bring in a sphere and put it in the middle right here. We'll increase the size to go all the way around the island with the island right in the middle. And you remember that trick we did before? So we'll select the sphere alone and we'll say hide from render. And now we'll take our camera and we'll link it to the sphere. So now, as we rotate it, while we have the sphere selected, let's make it transparent. So now we can see it when we preview. Okay, as we rotate our camera, we'll also move with it. It will go around our island so we can look at all of our different environments in there. But what is an island without water? So we'll bring that in. And you know, I think that water's a little high, so we'll just drop it slightly. And let's change this water now. Maybe to troubled green water. Okay, let's change our atmosphere now, and we'll use heavy summer. So we can see this with a higher contrast. Another thing that is nice that you can do, like right here where it is more green, you can just create a cloud. Let's make this cloud smaller now. And we'll be putting it really on just one part of this island, just one cloud above this forest with that kind of rainy look. And it really enhances that humid look. The kind of forests you see in the northwest of the U.S. So now we'll go into our animation. Let's go to the sphere and add a keyframe, and let's move it then maybe to 8 seconds. And we'll just take it and rotate it all the way. So we've done this before in our 360-degree rotation, so now we're doing it with a purpose. And you can see our camera rotating around the island. Okay, so now we're going to render and see what we can. And maybe what we want to do also with the camera is just zoom in. For now, we just want to overview everything. So right now, we'll render it with the resolution at 640. So what we'll do right now, it's going to take a couple of hours to render this out, so I suggest you stick in a movie and munch some popcorn while you're waiting. Or through the miracle of the pause record button, we can have it ready for you instantly, like this. Okay, and with our final animation, it will be a little bit flickery because it was done in the preview mode, and it might be a little bit too fast, but you can get an idea of how this looks with these easily distinguished climates. And here you can see the cloud we put in. And you have all of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th one on top. All of this on the same island. And of course you can zoom in closer so you can see the details more. It's actually very nice because if you want to create some unique scenery, something magical, this is how you can combine terrains in a different way. Thank you for watching this Geekatplay tutorial. We invite you to visit our forums, and if you have more questions or for more tutorials, you'll find us at www.geekatplay.com or vututorials.com.